Zayne Carrick is one of the most intriguing characters to emerge from the expansive lore of Star Wars. Knights of the Old Republic. As the central figure in the comic series published by Dark Horse Comics, Zayne's narrative stands apart from the typical archetypes often associated with Jedi or Sith in the galaxy far, far away. Unlike the prodigious Force wielders who dominate much of Star Wars lore, Zayne begins his journey as an underdog, defined as much by his flaws as by his latent potential. This initial characterization serves as a foundation for a compelling exploration of themes such as redemption, perseverance, and moral ambiguity. Zayne's introduction as a Padawan framed for the murder of his fellow apprentices immediately sets a tone of tension and mistrust. The narrative thrust of his character arc revolves around his efforts to clear his name, all while evading the powerful Jedi Masters who orchestrated the massacre and subsequent blame. From the outset, Zayne's plight positions him as a character for whom survival is paramount, a departure from the Jedi protagonists of the films who often possess clarity of purpose. Zayne, by contrast, stumbles through his journey, learning and growing along the way. One of the most compelling aspects of Zayne's character is his ordinariness. In a universe often populated by larger-than-life figures, Zayne's relative lack of skill as a Jedi makes him relatable. He is neither a brilliant tactician nor a master of the Force. His combat abilities are, at best, mediocre. Yet, it is precisely these shortcomings that make his victories all the more satisfying. Zayne's success is rarely due to overpowering his adversaries, but instead stems from his ingenuity, empathy, and an unyielding determination to do what is right. This dynamic elevates him as a protagonist, as his story becomes less about fulfilling a predetermined destiny and more about creating his own path through sheer will and a sense of justice. The Knights of the Old Republic comics use Zayne's journey to examine the flaws of the Jedi Order, a theme that has often been explored in Star Wars but finds a unique expression through his story. The Jedi Masters who falsely accuse him of murder are not caricatures of evil, but are instead portrayed as individuals whose rigid adherence to prophecy and dogma blinds them to the ethical ramifications of their actions. This critique of the Jedi Order's reliance on foresight and its sometimes cold detachment from moral considerations adds depth to the narrative. Zayne, in contrast, becomes a living rebuke to this approach. Despite being dismissed as an incompetent Padawan, his compassion and ability to connect with others often lead to solutions that more powerful Jedi overlook. Zayne's relationships with the supporting cast are another vital component of his character's appeal. His partnership with GRYPH, the cunning and often self-serving Snivian con artist, provides much-needed levity amidst the darker elements of the story. GRYPH serves as both a foil and a friend to Zayne, challenging his idealism while also offering streetwise pragmatism. The interplay between these two characters not only drives much of the plot, but also highlights Zayne's ability to inspire loyalty in those around him, even in individuals who might not seem predisposed to altruism. Similarly, Zayne's interactions with other recurring characters, such as Gerrel and Camper, deepen his character arc. Gerrel, with her own mysterious past and moral complexities, complements Zayne's narrative by providing a lens through which to explore themes of trust, vulnerability, and personal growth. Camper, an eccentric and reclusive genius, introduces elements of technological intrigue while also serving as a reminder of the galaxy's vastness and the diversity of its inhabitants. Together, these relationships create a rich tapestry that enhances the overarching story and provides a counterbalance to Zayne's personal struggles. The settings that Zayne traverses also play a critical role in shaping the tone of his story. From the sprawling cityscape of Coruscant to the desolate Outer Rim worlds, each location underscores different aspects of the Star Wars universe. The juxtaposition of the galaxy's core and its fringes mirrors Zayne's own journey, from an aspiring Jedi bound by tradition to a fugitive who must navigate the moral gray areas of survival. This thematic parallel is further reinforced by the series' exploration of socio-political issues, including corruption, inequality, and the consequences of war. The use of prophecy as a narrative device is particularly noteworthy in Zayne's story. Prophecies have long been a staple of Star Wars, often serving as a source of dramatic tension or a means to frame a character's destiny. However, in Zayne's case, the prophecy that leads to his framing is ultimately revealed to be misinterpreted, a twist that challenges the notion of destiny itself. This subversion not only vindicates Zane but also reinforces the series' broader critique of institutions that place blind faith in foresight at the expense of individual agency. By emphasizing the fallibility of prophecy, the series elevates Zane's triumphs, showcasing them as the result of his choices rather than the fulfillment of a predetermined path. Throughout his journey, Zane's moral compass remains steadfast, even as he faces betrayal, danger, and seemingly insurmountable odds. This unwavering commitment to doing what is right, despite his own hardships, sets him apart from many other characters in the Star Wars mythos. His actions are not motivated by a desire for glory or power, but by a genuine concern for others, even those who have wronged him. This selflessness imbues his character with a quiet heroism that resonates deeply, making his eventual victories feel well-earned and deeply satisfying. Zane Carrick's story represents a deeply human journey in a galaxy filled with beings of immense power and influence. His arc is one of growth, both personal and ideological, as he wrestles with the consequences of his actions and the moral complexity of the universe around him. One of the most striking elements of his character development is how he navigates his evolving identity. Starting as a naive Padawan who unquestioningly adheres to the Jedi Code, Zane gradually learns to think critically about the structures of power and authority that have shaped his life. This journey of self-awareness not only makes him more compelling but also underscores the broader philosophical questions at the heart of Star Wars. A critical turning point in Zane's development occurs when he begins to confront the systemic flaws of the Jedi Order. His personal experiences with betrayal and the injustices perpetrated by his former masters force him to grapple with the Order's failings in a way that few other Jedi characters do. Unlike Anakin Skywalker, whose disillusionment with the Jedi leads him to darkness, Zane's critique of the Order emerges from a place of hope and a desire to rebuild rather than destroy. This distinction highlights the uniqueness of his perspective. He recognizes that the Order's rigidity and over-reliance on prophecy have led to catastrophic consequences, but he never loses faith in the core ideals of compassion and justice that the Jedi are meant to embody. Zane's journey is not one of solitary heroism, but is instead deeply intertwined with the lives of those around him. The relationships he forms along the way serve as a testament to his capacity for empathy and his ability to inspire trust, even in the most unlikely allies. GRYPH, for instance, is initially motivated by self-interest but comes to see Zane as more than just a pawn in his schemes. Their evolving partnership is a microcosm of Zane's broader impact. His willingness to see the best in others often brings out qualities they may not have realized they possessed. Gerrel, another significant figure in Zane's life, represents a different kind of relationship dynamic. Her own struggles with identity and morality mirror Zane's, creating a sense of mutual understanding between the two characters. Their interactions are marked by moments of vulnerability and trust, offering a nuanced portrayal of how individuals from vastly different backgrounds can find common ground. Gerrel's presence also highlights one of the series' recurring themes: the idea that redemption and growth are possible, even for those burdened by guilt or haunted by past mistakes. The comic series does an excellent job of using Zane's narrative to explore broader themes of power, justice, and morality within the Star Wars universe. The Jedi Order, often idealized in the films, is depicted here as an institution capable of both great good and great harm. Through Zane's lens, the audience sees how the Order's hierarchical structure and reliance on dogma can lead to moral failings. The masters who conspire against Zane genuinely believe they are acting for the greater good, a perspective that complicates their role as antagonists. This nuanced portrayal adds depth to the story, challenging the simplistic dichotomy of good versus evil that often defines Star Wars narratives. At the same time, Zane's story emphasizes the importance of individual agency in the face of institutional failure. His decision to confront the Jedi Masters, not out of vengeance but to prevent further harm, speaks to his integrity and moral courage. This theme of personal responsibility is reinforced by the series' treatment of prophecy. By subverting the trope of an infallible destiny, the narrative shifts the focus to Zane's choices and actions, highlighting the idea that one's character is defined not by fate, but by how they respond to adversity. The settings in Zane's journey, from Coruscant's glittering spires to the grimy underworld of the Outer Rim, provide a rich backdrop for his adventures. These environments serve not only as physical locations but also as reflections of the story's themes. The opulence and corruption of Coruscant stand in stark contrast to the harsh, lawless regions of the galaxy, illustrating the vast disparities that exist within the Star Wars universe. This dichotomy mirrors Zane's own struggle to reconcile his idealism with the often harsh realities of the world around him. Zane's progression from a hapless fugitive to a resourceful and principled leader is a testament to his resilience and determination. While he may lack the raw power or extraordinary abilities of other Jedi, his ingenuity and compassion more than compensate. His ability to adapt to challenging situations and find unconventional solutions makes him a refreshing departure from the archetypal Star Wars hero. Whether outsmarting his enemies or rallying unlikely allies, Zane consistently demonstrates that strength comes in many forms, and heroism is not reserved for the powerful. The conclusion of Zane's arc is deeply satisfying, not because it ties up every loose end or provides a neat resolution, but because it stays true to the character's journey. By the end of the series, Zane has not only cleared his name but also grown into a figure capable of making a meaningful impact on the galaxy. His story is one of redemption, not just for himself, but for those he encounters along the way. This sense of collective growth and healing is one of the series' most poignant themes, reminding readers that even in a galaxy defined by conflict, there is always room for hope and renewal. Through Zane Carrick, the Knights of the Old Republic series offers a rich and thought-provoking addition to the Star Wars mythos. His journey is a masterful blend of personal growth, moral inquiry, and epic adventure, all set against the backdrop of a universe as vast and complex as the character himself. By challenging the conventions of what it means to be a Jedi and a hero, Zane's story carves out a unique space within the franchise, leaving a lasting impression on fans and solidifying his place as one of the most compelling characters in Star Wars history.